My name is Jason Stavinskas. I'm the Managing Director of Los Cerros Limited, and this is a brief commentary on the results we released on the ASX in late January of 2022. And I refer you to that announcement for relevant disclaimers and competent person statements. Before I go into the detail of today's announcement, some background. Los Cerros has two projects, the Quinchilla project and the Andes project, both in the Mid-Colca porphyry belt of Colombia, which hosts many multi-million ounce discoveries. But the bulk of this announcement was focused on the Quinchilla project, which is a series of targets in a roughly 3 kilometre circle. Most of the activity of recent has been in the south at Miraflores, Tesorito, Cebal and Truscal, and today's announcement focuses mainly on drilling at Tesorito and in the southern and northern extremes, but also a few holes right in the middle. I will make mention of this central zone here, and I also talk about in the announcement the Cebal project and the Truscal project, so I'll come back to those near the end of this commentary. So on to Tesorito. This is an at-surface gold porphyry discovery. The results you see on this slide are not the results released today. This is the highlight of the results over the last few years of drilling. And you can see we consistently report 200 to 300 metres at a gram per tonne, more often than not starting at surface or close to surface. And quite importantly, those grades are distributed over a significant area. They're not just focused on one high-grade zone. We see these significant intercepts over quite a large area, and the gold envelopes themselves now are sort of plus 700 metres in a north-south direction and 350 or so in an east-west direction. Now, this is the first time I've shown a 3D rotating model of Tesorito. So as it moves through, I'll talk through some relevant points. This section you're seeing now, this is the one I typically put out in the ASX releases, and you can see the sort of the gentle westerly plunge of the high-grade mineralisation following or hugging the Marmoto fault, and you can see the drill traces there being the black lines. Now, as we rotate around, take note of the terrain. This is in the Andes Mountains, but this is a relatively flat area, which bodes well when we start talking about operation scenarios. Now, for a long section, a north-south section, and what's really important here is to note the extension of the low grade to the north. I announced in results in releases in November, December of last year, this large green area extending quite a distance to the north away from the causative porphyry itself. Now, the results in today's announcement focus mainly on the far south, so this sort of extreme edge over here. There was one result in the north and two results in the central zone. But first, let's go down to the southern campaign. And as expected, we're seeing as we head further south, we're also seeing a southward trend in the results as well. The grades going sort of sub 0.5. So we're seeing in the 8 or so results in today's announcement from the southern campaign, we're seeing 0.2s and 0.4s and those sorts of things. We did hit occasionally better results in that program. So we've got 18.4 metres at 0.74, 6 metres at 1 from surface, 137 metres at 0.55 with 38 metres at 0.76, again from near surface. And that was over in this area over here. So that's going to expand the higher grade envelopes in this direction. But in the most part, the southern campaign, we're seeing a waning of results as we head further south away from the causative porphyry. And I can say we've probably defined the southern margins of Tesorito with that drilling campaign, or the most recent results from the drilling campaign. Now, we also announced the results of hole 56, which is this hole up here. That went through a recently described IP chargeability high. The results from hole 56 were unremarkable, sort of 0.2s, 0.4s, but that chargeability high, it says untested here, but I guess it's partially tested now with the results of hole 56, but there's a large area that was not tested with that hole. So whilst we can say with some confidence that we've probably defined the southern margins, we can't say that about the north. We still need to drill more here to see what's going on with that geophysics anomaly. That the results we got in hole 56 does not really comfortably explain why there is that IP anomaly there. So there's certainly motivation to continue drilling in that direction before we can say we've found the southern margins. Now, the other part of the announcement was 2 holes in this central zone, in this at surface high-grade subzone, which is obviously very exciting for us, particularly when we start talking about production scenarios and potential starter pits and all those sorts of things. One, you can just make out the trace headed north, and the other in this direction over here, and that recorded 100 metres at a gram per tonne with 31 metres at 0.172 from surface, and the other one was 88 metres at a gram per tonne with 26 metres at just under 2 grams per tonne, 1.93 grams per tonne, again starting from surface. So it's a great little cluster of really exciting grades recorded in this area, rotating out from this sort of central zone. So we have 3 rigs on site as we speak. One of those is testing that central target that I mentioned in ASX releases in Q4 of last year, that central zone between Tesorito. So this is Tesorito here, where the bulk of where the 59 drill holes have been drilled. Occasionally we've gone through into Tesorito West, holes 16, 24 and 34 have penetrated into the Tesorito West porphyry. But we believe this is part of a bigger system where Tesorito and the Miraflores resource are bookends to a bigger system. And at the moment, we have a rig drilling right through to test this deep target, the first hole testing this large area, and 2 other rigs active in the area as well. There is a 4th rig on its way that has deep drilling capacity as well, and that's testing the northern parts of the Cebal porphyry discovery. So, as you might recall, we've had 6 holes into Cebal. They all intercepted low-grade porphyry mineralisation, much like what we see in the sort of top third of Tesorito. And we've got some geophysics there now. We've got some mag highs to the north that suggest perhaps the central zone is to the north. So we'll be testing that with the 4th rig to arrive in February. And there's a 5th rig on the way as well, but that one at this point is unallocated. We're also underway with our 4th IP program, our deep penetrating geophysics program. The first of those generated that big chargeability high that we're now drilling between Miraflores and Tesorito. This is the 4th one. This is testing the southern elements of Chuscal, and hopefully will inform us when it comes to returning to drilling at Chuscal. Now, with the knowledge that we have at Tesorito, confidence that we've found the southern margins, and while still testing to the north, we think we've got enough information now to migrate to a maiden resource calculation. So that's been commissioned, our maiden resource calculation on Tesorito, and we've also commenced conversations around metallurgy and a scoping study to supplement that maiden resource. So where we are, we're well funded. As you will recall, we raised $20 million in July of last year. We still have the lion's share of that. We have a substantial project pipeline, and throughout 2022, you'll see significant activity at a number of those targets, hopefully at Kinshia and also at Andes. So I hope you watch with interest as we progress through what is hopefully a year just as exciting as 2021 was for us. And thanks for your time.